Hey guys, HW. I'm out doing another vid, and today just got off the train at Stanmore on the main line. There goes the train out to Richmond. Wouldn't like to be doing that walk, but yeah, I've come to Stanmore because Stanmore's pretty historic, and I want to get around today and do a few historic houses. And also I want to sample some nectars out here. The temperature today in Sydney, 28 degrees Celsius. The wind from the east at 22 kilometres an hour. Now I've got it a bit of a historic walk cranked up in the phone. A bit of a PDF, I don't know how old it is, provided by the local council. I'm not going to get around to all the historic houses. I'm just going to pick out the ones that tickle my fancy. But right now what we've got to do is we've got to get over to Trafalgar Crescent over there and secure a nectar before they close. A little bit more about Stanmore as we walk out of the station. Stanmore, about 20 minutes by car into the city from here, so not too far. And easily accessible on the main train line here, out of the city, straight out to Stanmore. Stanmore. Oh, I can see the cafe over there. That's the one I've been recommended by Google Maps. But yeah, a little bit more about Stanmore. Average real estate price, 2.2 million for a 3-bedroom house, or high eights up to 900k for a 2-bedroom unit. This little coffee shop over here, which is called Mina's, apparently it's rated 5 stars on Google. So let's quickly see if we can get a takeaway nectar. Yeah, so out on Trafalgar Crescent, there's the corner of Holt Street just there. Another train screaming through, another couple of trains screaming through. They're nice and leafy down that end of Trafalgar Crescent. But this graffitied up wall of the station's not too pleasant to look at. I'll wait for the nectar to arrive. And then we'll get around and have a look at some of these houses, eh? I've been meaning to come to Stanmore for ages. I was going to come to Stanmore first, before I even did Glebe and Strathfield and Burwood, but I did all of those first. Been hanging to get to Stanmore because it's got some cracker houses to have a look at. Oh, the flat white has arrived. Look at that, delightful latte flat white art there, coffee art, underneath this delightful awning. That easterly breeze, it's a bit of a change. It's not blowing so much humidity at this time of the day. It's more a pleasant breeze sitting here on Trafalgar Crescent. Comes a Porsche SUV. A non-native bird screaming on top of the roof of the station there. A dirty miner bird. And introduce one from India, an Indian miner bird. They're a real pest in Sydney and Australia. I think they were originally introduced to kill off some beetle that was causing havoc in the farming arena, but instead they set up home in the city and they disperse all of the sparrows, unfortunately. They destroy the sparrows' nests. And as such, you don't see many sparrows in Sydney anymore. That's enough of the fauna. Let's get into this flat white. Oh, heaven. Yeah, that's great. must have stole your regular seat, did I?
No.
I can move over here if you want.
We don't have a regular
Oh,
seat.
okay.
We're just looking at. I think we might stay inside.
We'll come inside.
Bring you out an extra chair. Yeah.
We're finished in Mina's. $4.06 the sit-in flat white was, which is pretty good. Got a feeling it was Toby's estate as well. And I don't go out of my way to find Toby's estate, but it's a delight when I do. So yeah, this is what the other side of the station looks like. This is Douglas Street that we're on here. I was going to explore a bit over the other side where I was, the other side of the station, but it turns out most of the old historic buildings over there have been turned into schools and hospitals and all the rest of it. And seeing schools just got out because it's just past 3 p.m. now. I'm going to stay clear of there. So I'm not going to finish the whole historic trail today. I'm just going to do bits and pieces. So first thing we're going to do is head up to Temple Street, I think, which I think we've got to chuck a ride on Percival Lane here, and that'll get us up to Temple Street, I think. So this is first cab off the rank, this house here, number 19 Temple Street in Stanmore. This was the childhood home of famous Australian actor Nolan Brown, who was prolific in Australian TV shows and movies. It's a Mediterraneanised house, they say in the description, and I would agree with them. Look at this old Federation terrace here on the corner of Myrtle Street and Percival in Stanmore. Built 1907, according to the plaque on the building. Now that would have been a corner store in the old days for sure. I love that Federation veranda around the outside of it there, up there, including tin roof. What a delight. I see we're walking along this stretch here. Have a look at all these Federation style homes in this leafy part of Percival. This home here's got some size to it as well. Some massive chimneys on top of the roof. Probably can't see it because of the sun. But that's got a lovely big veranda on it, on both levels. Taliska House, it's called, 1899. Just before we get up to Clarendon, let's just make a point of pointing out this park over here. So this is Weekly Park, and it was donated by the wealthy Johnston family. They were doing some reconstruction for their historic home, Enadal House. And so to get the council on side, they donated this park to the local people and named it after the mayor, Mr. Weekly. Very nice little park anyway. Oh, here we are at number 60 Clarendon, and this is Nithsdale or Nithsdale. This site was chosen by a Scottish-born builder by the name of Alexander Hutchinson. It says the house's elaborate decoration with stucco swags and coins has been extensively refurbished. It's 3 stories, and the bit up the top's a belvedere, and it looks like the people who live there now have got a outdoor seating set out there with umbrella. Says it's got good views all over the area, and makes mention that you can see 3 different steeples or 3 different churches in Newtown, Annandale and Leichhardt from that belvedere up there. Oh, we're in Albany Street now. Have a geezer at this size of this joint. It's been split into 2 different residences now. But this one's called Rothsay and Landudno. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This one here was the builders and timber merchants, Growcock and Chambers, built these terraces in 1894, 135 and 137 Albany Road. They paid £1,300 for the land back in the day. Apparently their timber yard was just next door. Since then it's had at least 9 owners, including 2 Methodist ministers, and the houses follow the then current trend of having a large balcony placed in Antis, whatever that means, as an integral part. An integral part of the external walls. They make Italian style, whatever that is, in order to enjoy the cooling breezes that come through. I don't know how that works, but there you go. Yeah, as I walk down the length of Albany Street here, both sides of the road, little Federation workers' cottages stacked side by side. It reminds me a lot of Crow's Nest. All these little cottages. Real distinct cottages over this side, really narrow ones, and then larger Federation style houses separated at least with little side passages. Probably back in the day allowed the dunny cart man in to collect the family's sewerage. And as we enter this part of Albany Street, just past Temple, both sides of the road have got the old terraces, 2-storey terraces like you'd find in Paddington and Newtown. Extend out into Stanmore as well. Yeah, these terraces here be pretty pricey, folks. You'd be looking at well over $2 million for these ones. They're in good order as well. This one here is quite prominent. Mabel Villa, 1886. I just came into Douglas Street and I was going to have a look at the home of a famous Australian athlete from back in the day, but somebody's modernised the old home, so there's nothing much to look at. So instead we'll have a look at these two houses here instead. This one here, it's 76 Douglas, Wimbledon. Geez, look at it. What a delight. Oh, look at those fancy tiles that it's got on the side there of that bay window. Yeah, it's glorious, that one. Oh, we're in Gordon Crescent now, and this is the first of 3 houses that were built by a Patrick Fay for himself and his 2 daughters. Well, no, it just says his daughters, it doesn't say 2 daughters, it just says his daughters. So apparently he lived in the middle one, so one of the daughters or a couple of the daughters must have lived in this one at 52. This was built in 1886. So there's that one, that's in quite good nick. That's been split into units by the looks of it now. And then here's one here, number 50. Oh, we can get a better look down the side there. Sort of. Around this tree. No, not really. And this was here's one here, number 50. Again, a big tree in front of it. Someone likes their privacy. Again, some nice veranda action there. And then this one here is the last of the 3, 48. So again, 1 or 2 daughters. If it was just one daughter, they lucked out having such a big joint. But maybe the guy had like a dozen daughters, I don't know. Oh, look at that. Look at that overhanging room there on the side. But as we walk down the street here, have a look at all the other joints in the street. Pretty impressive. This one's got a really old fence on it. So I don't know why this hasn't got any mention in the historical trail. What's got the name Balnagowan? It looks super old. Don't know why they haven't included it. Even this joint here's a massive fountain out the front. Magpies starting to sing in the afternoon. Yeah, so beautiful houses along here. The only downside is you're right next to the main train line coming out of Sydney. So there'll be trains. Oh, there goes one now. A couple of them. So that's what you'd be hearing. Unless you had double glazed windows. There's a grand house behind this ivy fence, I tell you. I know we've all got a peek at it on the side here in this other house. Yeah, look at that. They've got verandas, but they've got no balustrade on it. Even this joint here is quite impressive. Undergoing a bit of renovation by the looks of it. But have a look at that. I'd call that a hall. I wouldn't even call that a house. That's massive. That's Essington. Oh, actually, that's one of the places we were going to look at. Let me open up my phone. Yeah, Essington. Matthias Bothsman combined 2 plots of land in his first year of the subdivision here at Gordon Crescent. And then it goes on about them becoming single family homes. So there must be a couple of houses in this subdivision here that they're talking about. Yeah, there's another. Looks like there's another house directly behind it. So they built 2 massive mansions back to front. I'm struggling to read the description and hold my phone at the same time, so... Oh, camera I mean. So apologies, I'll do my best. Ah, this fancy fence here at 80 Cambridge Street is telling me this was the site of a grand old residence. A house called Worden House, which was purchased by a Francis Crago, who owned the flour mill at Newtown, and Harry Levy, who owned the Darrell Lee confectionery shops. They renamed it Montague Gardens in the 1950s. An absent landlord back in the day turned it into flats, and 20 years of neglect, where they said that it was a rat-infested eyesore. A local MP by the name of Norman Ryan persuaded the government of the time, the Neville Wran government, to purchase it for $150,000 in 1978. However, later they decided to demolish it, and it became the parklands that you see today. And it says here that the original gates of the home were stolen and later appeared at a socialite hairdresser's mansion in Toorak in Melbourne, and then later a bank manager's property in Barrel. And the council never got the gates back. So, given the fence line here, it must have been a pretty substantial property. And when they mentioned the owner of the flour mill and the Darrell Lee owner together, it must have been a collection of houses, or maybe just 2 houses, or maybe they were subsequent owners. I don't know. It doesn't say in the history. I'll leave that for somebody else to work out. But this fig tree here, right on the fence line's a delight. Must have been stuck there back in the day when the home was here, or collection of homes were here. This joint here, I hope you can see it with the sunlight beaming in the background. This is 109 Cambridge Street, and we're in the side street here, Merchant. But this was a house on a large block of land called Winona. It was so large it had its own barn and stables, and was home to the Marx family up until the 1930s. The tower's still there on the house at least, and below it now is a Baptist hostel with accommodation for 30 people. Quickly heard that plane behind me, and I wanted to illustrate how close Stanmore and Petersham and all these suburbs are to the airport. They're in a flight path, and that's why I mentioned before that some of them would be double glazed, because back in the day, as we turn down Harrow Road here, back in the day, the government, when it built an extra runway out at Kingsford Smith, Sydney's main international airport, at Botany Bay, They compensated a lot of the residents around these areas by paying for double glazing of their windows. Because when the wind's coming from the right direction, you got the planes landing rather than taking off, which we just saw there. But when they're landing, yeah, it really rattles the houses. I don't know whether you can see through all those streets, but we'll finish off looking at the houses at 143 Trafalgar Street. Apparently behind all those trees there, this giant house has got AD 1884 marked on the top, and it was bought by the Anglican Church for the nurses of Brayside Hospital. And they retained this original plot of land still today. And this dog came out to be a good guard dog and greet me as I walked past the fence. But I talked to him and he's not barking at me anymore. Try to get a view of it. You can sort of get the staircase there going up to the home. And then to get a good view of it, there's all these damn trees here. But anyway, as another train goes past on the main line, that's it for the homes. Let's get back over to the station because this easterly breeze, I was skiting before that there was a nice breeze blowing, but walking in the sun, the humidity is intense. I'm sweating up a storm. Where's our little doggy friend gone? Has he gone back? Where's he gone? Oh, there he is. He's in the garden there. He's had enough of me. There's another plane going past. Look at that. Big A380. It's probably a late running flight out to Dallas. Or it could even be a late flight out to Singapore. Be either of those two. Although I'm not thinking about the rest of the US. But I'd say either Dallas or Singapore for that one. But even as we make our way down Trafalgar here back to the station, still there's terrace houses galore along here. That's a decent sized gum tree out the front of these ones. Do you reckon you could handle living in these even though the main train line's just there? Geez, that one's got some foundation issues on that veranda there. That shade looks promising there. Would you call that a footpath? I'm going to try to walk along it, even though I don't think it is a footpath, but I just want to get some of this shade because this sun is killing me. At least we get a squeeze at the other block of shops on this side of the railway station. And we can see where I had a coffee earlier as well, at Mina's. So as we stare down the main line towards the city at Stanmore Station, well, thank you for coming along this little historical skirt around Stanmore today. So now we've done all of the historic little suburbs next to the city, or a stone's throw from the city. If you can call 20 minutes from the city by car stone's throw. But anyway, we've done those suburbs that were originally settled by wealthy pastoralists. That's a fancy name for sheep and cattle farmers in Australia. And now I'll set up the camera and we'll do a bit of time-lapse action for all the train lovers out there and see what we capture on this busy afternoon as the commuters make their way home. See you in the next vid. The video is over.